probably a good time to answer a question I've had a few times about recovery. But there are certain things, if I don't do them, I won't recover very well at all. One essential step to recovering well, for me, Good morning! Welcome back to the channel and another ultra cycling related video. If you're already subscribed, then thanks for coming back. If you're not already subscribed, my name's Andy. I'm an ultra cyclist on the south coast of the UK. The videos I make are about ultra cycling, training, kit and adventures. As I'm recording this, it's the following weekend from the Wales trip. I'm pretty tired. So if you watched that, then I appreciate that. It's quite a bit of effort to ride it. The most important thing, but quite a bit of effort to edit it as well. It's quite a long trip, but what an adventure that was. If you just joined and you haven't seen that two-part series, give it a watch. I rode 500k across England into Wales, over the highest pass in Wales and back to Portsmouth in 34 hours. It was an amazing trip and a good shakedown of my kit for my races this year. So give it a watch. On the cards for today, I am pooped. This is the last training ride in this training block, so I get a good rest after this. So essentially just getting everything out of my legs and onto the road. Trying to get as much training effect in from this training block as possible. So riding about 100 miles all around Hampshire. Right now riding through Gosport, if you know Gosport. And I want to make the most of this beautiful weather. I heard a little birdie tell me there's a heat wave coming soon, so let's see. I'm racing in 4 weeks. Knowing my luck, the weather will be terrible by the time we get there, but I'll be ready. Wise today, I'll be honest, I sat on my couch last night, absolutely knackered, trying to decide what to do. Pretty much decided I was going to ride to Brighton and back, which is along the south coast and literally zero elevation. Kind of what I felt like I needed. But then I saw the forecast, I kind of want to be out in the beautiful countryside. Today's going to be a gorgeous day. Stop for a minute. The headwind is rough, so pretty tough to film on the bike. The plan today, after looking at the forecast last night, the forecast was pretty good. Nice and sunny, not too windy. As you can probably see, the forecast was rubbish. It's windy as hell, so I'm pushing into that for the first half of the ride, and then back across to South Downs and into Portsmouth with a tailwind, so that would be nice. Well then, let's go enjoy the weather, go into the countryside, maybe get a cafe stop and enjoy the sun. Do you ever feel like you're being watched? This is probably a good time to answer a question I've had a few times, and once quite recently, about recovery. So I'm now less than a week back from that ride. I got back last Sunday afternoon, 500k, lots of elevation, had about 4 hours sleep halfway through. I managed to do my normal kind of recovery protocols, and I was out on Thursday doing my 2-hour threshold session and back out again today for another 100 miles. Got a pretty good routine for recovery, but I think I'll wait till I get out of this wind. It is brutalising me, but almost time for a tailwind. I bloody hope so anyway. I think that's most of the headwind done. You know how that normally goes. I'm sure it'll change on me and I won't get a tailwind, but let's see. Stay positive. I've got a bit more energy now. And sometimes energy begets energy. So I push on a bit and the body soon follows for a bit. It's gorgeous out here though. First section of the ride, it's all through Portsmouth and the south coast, and it's a bit busier. Out here, rolling hills, countryside, does mean more climbing. So there's a few climbs coming up, but it's going to be pretty gorgeous. That is one of my favourite lanes in the whole of the south. So much fun. It flows perfectly, and in weather like this, beautiful green rolling hills of the English countryside, and you fly through there. It's a bit of work to get up to the top, but boy is it worth it. About 2/3 of the way through now, 65 miles, something like that. So nearly home. Just riding through a place called Avington Park. So nice. I always forget on this route that it goes through here until I get here, and ooh, this is nice. It's through a golf course. You ever notice some of the most beautiful countryside in the UK often has a golf course plonked on top? Jealous. Seems like a bit of a waste to me, but what do I know? Not too far from New Alresford now, and I think that might be stomping ground of our man Lee Wright. So I'm hoping to stop somewhere there, get something semi-substantial for food. So I'm feeling pretty knackered, but I think it's actually just fuel. So I'll find some food, see how we get on. It's a gorgeous ride though. That's better. Fed and watered, feel a lot better. Definitely wasn't eating enough. Stopped, got a sandwich, some pork pies, iced coffee. Feel a lot better. Still feeling pretty knackered. I'm pretty sure now I got some climbing to do. But then there's an amazing descent into Petersfield. So fast. So let's get up and over. On to recovery then. Something I'm in need of right now, for sure. As I mentioned, a few people have asked about what I do for recovery. One person quite recently, I think when I uploaded the Wales ride, someone else done a similar ride and asked me how I intend to recover. As with anything like this, I don't give advice or tell you what to do on here. I just tell people what I do, what I've learned over the years that works for me. And I think I've got a pretty good protocol. I can recover pretty quick. Like I said, last weekend was 500k, Wales highest paved road, sleeping rough for a few hours, and then straight back into it this week to get back into training. I did skip Tuesday, but I trained on Thursday and did a 2-hour threshold session. And out today for more than 100 miles probably now. So I've got a pretty short routine, but I'll go through it and maybe it might help you tweak what you do. Who knows? And if you've got ideas for me, as always, then tell me. Maybe I'll stop for a minute for this one. The road is a bit busy. But yeah, it's not a crazy routine, but there are certain things, if I don't do them, I won't recover very well at all. So the first thing I do, I make sure start before the ride even begins. One essential step to recovering well for me is the fueling and the fluids on the actual ride, because if I go too deep into a hole on the ride, don't fuel well enough, bonk, do myself a mischief on the actual ride, that's going to cause real problems, damage to my body during the ride that just takes longer to recover from. So sometimes it's easier said than done. Last weekend I ran out of water, food was a bit scarce in the evening, it happens, but the better you can plan for food and liquids, and the better you're going to recover. The next thing I found helps me, and I'm getting into the weeds a bit now on personal stuff, but I don't mind, I'll tell you, really, is taking care of your undercarriage, because that just, like your bike, needs maintenance. The more you ride it, it starts to get a bit worse for wear. The same thing happens to your body. So I bought myself a tall bottle of moisturiser with a squeezy top. Every time I shower or bath, moisturise down there. Yeah, too much information? Maybe, but it really, really helps. If I skip that once, I feel the difference. I feel much more sore and much more discomfort down there on rides. So moisturise and take care of your sensitive areas. Next thing I found works for me. I've had plenty of injuries over the years, lots of injuries, and I've had to go through physio, I've had to have sports massage, lots of treatments, and over the years I think my body's just got better and adapted to the kind of work, so the injuries are much, much less frequent. But every time I get injured, I'm given exercises and massage to fix things. I just paid attention to what those massage therapists did and tried to replicate part of it into my own ongoing routine. So, as one example, I had an issue with my knees and the physio was trying to lengthen my muscles, massaging down the lengths of my quads and my hamstrings, and it really helped. Maintaining flexibility made a massive difference. So now when I get out of the shower or the bath, I spend 5 minutes stretching, but I also get moisturiser and I massage down the length of the quads, hamstrings, lengthen them as much as I can, and that takes a couple of minutes. If I do that every time I shower or bath after a workout, not every single time, but every time I work out, have a bath, when I have a training session, have a bath, I go through that little routine and it makes all the difference. Again, if I skip that once, maybe twice, start to have problems, start to get issues with my knees, all kinds of issues. So self-massage can be done, you can learn it really easily, YouTube, whatever, makes a huge difference for me. That's what I do. Baths, that's another one. I used to shower only, started having baths. That made a big difference to recovery. So, especially in the winter with cold weather riding, makes a huge difference to recovering from those rides. And I think in some way is kind of a bit like poor man's hydrotherapy. That really helps me as well. Sleep is an obvious one, and that's really, really important. You have to prioritize sleep and getting enough rest, and that's obvious. Some of these things will be obvious, and I probably am telling you things that you do already or are obvious, but not for everybody. So sleep is really important, and if you don't prioritize it, you're going to suffer. So I know people have other priorities and busy lives, and I get it, but the more you can sleep after a ride, the better you'll feel. Another one for me would be, back onto the food subject again, is fueling well before and after. Obviously before it's going to give you the stores, the glycogen stores and the energy to get through the rides. That's going to help in the long run. And afterwards, eating well to recover, eating the right things, lots of veggies, lots of protein, good carbs. It's going to give your body all of the good stuff it needs to recover. So that's really important. And I think I might have seen it on Alex Dowsett's channel, I'm not sure, but I heard someone talk about a 6-meal window. 3 meals before your event and 3 meals after. Eat a lot, that's what I do, and really give your body everything it needs. Don't skimp on food around the event. What I like to do, I try to make sure I've got, especially for a really long ride, a litre of chocolate milk. I'll drink the whole thing when I get back. That really makes me feel better. Milk's quite well known for recovery after exercise like that. So again, this is just what works for me. You can start to see these are things that factor in to the small amount of time before and after the event. So it's not difficult. For me, I just make sure I eat plenty before an event, I get good amount of sleep, I have a bath, do the self-massage, drink the milkshake, get plenty of sleep, eat plenty of food, and I generally feel pretty good. A lot of it is fitness and experience, and over time your body will just get better at doing this. But the better you can fuel it and help it to recover, the more you'll cope with doing rides like this more frequently. The fatigue side of things is pretty difficult to avoid unless you factor in plenty of rest. For me, I have to have a week easy every 4th week. That's coming next week for me now. So even though I do all of this, my body's ready to go. I can ride this distance today, and I did do a threshold session on Thursday. I'm feeling pretty knackered, so I'm pleased to be honest. I've got a rest week coming up. After today, it works out about 10 days of rest of quite easy riding. So that's just a word on fatigue management. That's a separate subject altogether, to be honest. That's pretty difficult to manage, but yeah, talking about recovering from big rides. So this is what I do. Hopefully it helps some people. If there's stuff in there that you think is useless, or there's things that you do that really help, then tell me, because some of the stuff I'm talking about is a bit personal, moisturising your undercarriage and stuff like that, but I'm hoping it will help people and help people recover from events and enjoy ultra distance riding. So if you've got something that works for you that I haven't mentioned, tell me and I'd really appreciate hearing it. Back to the here and now. This is the highest point of this ride. I've climbed all the way up at the back of Petersfield. Now I just have to descend Stoner Hill, which is fun, and then basically ride south back towards Portsmouth. So go home, have a hot bath, have some self-massage, all that stuff. Let's get home. Back in Portsmouth. Business taken care of for another week and another 4-week block. Definitely hanging on energy wise, absolutely knackered, but it was a really good ride. So hopefully those tips might help a few people out. I'm off now to go and use some of them myself, recover, and then about 10 days worth of rest. Thanks again as always for watching. Hopefully you're all well, happy and healthy. If you're not happy, go ride your bike. Anyway, look after yourselves. I'll see you on the next one.